to Shannon's email, is that something where we want Jody to come in and talk to us?
Yeah, good
Cause
question.
it looked like our claims were a little bit over what we
Yeah.
expected.
Yeah, and I did look at that, and, a majority of that in February was due to prescriptions.
Okay,
And one of them was a laser, which we knew about, and Jody said she's gonna dig into that a little further, but I'm happy to get her scheduled if you want her to come in and look over that report with you guys.
well, that's up to Steve as far as I'm.
Yeah,
concerned.
it's, Doug, have you met, you probably
No,
haven't.
I have not.
Let's have her come in, if for no other reason, just to introduce her to Doug, and she can, so Doug can get used to kind of seeing Jody and know what we're doing there,
That'd be
so.
good.
Yeah, let's do that, and she may not need to come every quarter, but let's go ahead and kick it off with the first quarterly.
That being said, I move that we approve the weekly health insurance claims in the amount of $17,038.64.
I'll second that.
That motion carries, thanks, guys.
Okay. The last thing I have is the monthly weights and measures report submitted by Dan Hackman.
Wow, they all passed.
Well, if they've all passed, that's a good thing. So I move we approve the report from Mr. Hackman on the weights and measures monthly report.
I'll second that. Good to
Well,
see
you
you.
gave us 4 copies, you only need 2, so I got it.
Okay, you got extra? Okay.
Motion carries.
And
Good
that
to
is all I
see that
have.
somebody's watching our way.
Yeah. Watching that, but it's not.
Just don't weigh ice bags.
Thanks.
Or Girl Scout cookies.
Okay. Nate, what have you got for us?
Keeping us slack.
Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah, I don't know. I stay too busy, it costs too much, so.
Yeah, you tend to spend our money.
You might want me to take a long lunch, just give you a little bit of money. No, good morning. A couple items here, just the, request for our CCMG funds. The 2 projects at Bridge 180 and then the County Road 300 North. Since we've got contracts are all executed at this point, I've turned all that information over to NDOT. That's been approved by the NDOT PM. So we're just gonna wait for the funds to get dispersed. So I believe I sent the emails off to Tony. So when we actually see the deposits, we'll work out, make sure they're all in the right accounts. But all of those are ready to get going here shortly. NDOT quarterly reports, the first quarter was complete, so I turned all the reports in here April before Easter. So that's been turned over to the state and reviewed. NDOT has completed our contract for our HSIP. That's that guardrail safety program that we're doing on a number of bridges. They sent me the copy of the final contract signed by the Secretary of State, so that we now have. Again, no work's gonna start on that until after June 1st this year. So once I receive that, I'll be able to get that project officially started up. The funds are tied to that fiscal year, so the turnover of the state fiscal year is June 1.
When you start those projects, will that affect traffic?
Right, for design, it won't affect, but when we get ready for construction, it will have some impacts on traffic. So probably in most cases, it'll just be a single lane closure during construction. They'll do east side, west side, or north side, south side. On some of the busier roads, they may, for safety purposes, need to close something. But during construction, but until we get to the final design, I won't be able to say for certain or when, obviously. But that's construction 2027. So we won't see that till then. And then lastly, we did have another log jam. We talk about those a lot right now with the flooding. We had one on Bridge 180, which is the one we're gonna tear out the bridge.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't really want to spend the money to bring a contractor out there to take a log jam off a bridge that's not gonna be there in 6 or 9 months. So I had talked to Brad and Paul about it. Paul was good enough to go out there and take care of the log jam with our equipment. So it was small enough, you could drag it up on the banks and dig some of that out. It's not a perfect fix because we don't have quite the equipment for all of it, but thanks to Paul, that thing will at least flow until we can tear the structure out and open the flow up.
So by clearing that log jam, will that make it easier to replace the bridge?
Probably not. I think the pipes are full of debris anyway. So
Speaking of double pipe bridges, we're not putting have things changed? We're not putting double pipes in anymore, are we?
No, not if I have anything to say about it.
Thank
I'm
you.
not gonna do it that way, so.
They also catch corn stalks.
Yeah, this one was, I followed this stream from Wells County over here in Adams County. So I replaced two of the bridges on this same watershed going here into Adams County. And, I get to follow the same one over. So a couple of the landowners, the farmer that called me about that, asking was one I'd worked with over in Wells County about it. So, yeah, I'm not particularly fond of it.
I want to take a
And getting these a little higher too helps the corn stalks,
Yeah.
because if I've got a low head clearance on those pipes, when the streams are high, corn stalks will start to build up, and once that creates a carpet of debris, then you just got this pile of debris as the water falls, and it just stays hung up on the road.
Well, you gotta remember, I'm not being critical of the people that were sitting here or the engineer that was on duty when doubles were put in. The problem has been the way farmers tilled our ground. When doubles were put in, there was a lot of moldboard plowing done and corn stalks didn't wash when there was a 2-inch rain.
And get them to float off.
Right, but now with the tillage changing, the way farmers farm, which is conservation, on those old double pipes, you get a 2 or 3 inch rain, you're gonna have a mass of corn stalks, right, Paul? So you don't wanna be critical of the person that sat in your chair 30 years ago or 20 years ago.
Yeah, those were, and in that circumstance there where this is at, we've got shallow rock. So I'm gonna guess that the reason those pipes are sized like they are is I'm confident that they're sitting on the bedrock in that area. And so the only way to get the amount of flow was to start, they just got desperate, where their hands were tied and said, this is how much we can afford, and just started dropping pipes against the bedrock. That was a circumstance on the first bridge on that same stream on the county line was that case. They put a 16-foot diameter pipe that was squashed and it sat right on the bedrock. So with this one, we'll be keying into it with a larger arch for that. Yeah, and if you wanna see a field of corn stalks, go out to 500 west south of 218. I think Paul pushed a carpet of corn stalks off the road along the Wabash River.
Wow.
Make a good picture if you wanna see those. It's a good, probably 3 or 4 feet high, the windrow that you had to create.
From at least.
Yeah,
So the
so
question is how you get rid of
Well, can you bail them and sell them for Betty?
I
them.
don't know. If they find out who owned them, I'm sure if you could sell them, somebody'd want them back, so they could have them. Hey, again,
Good.
any questions for me?
I do want to thank you. Last week we had our mayors and commissioners caucus that we hosted
Yeah,
for the 11 Northeast Indiana counties. And Nate was our presenter and very accurately presented our bridge assets and our asset management plans and articulated the value of that and how to maintain that. And I think that was a real positive event and so I appreciate you doing that. I appreciate you
Hey,
being our
thank you very
presenter.
much. Hopefully I represented the county well. So,
and remember, you got a free meal.
Yeah, that's right.
I did get a free meal and dessert out of that, so I probably didn't clock in or out on that, but.
You did a good job, Nate.
That was a
You really
long
did.
lunch, so
You did a good job.
I
Super.
appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Nate.
Hey Nate, what road is this on? What's this road here?
This
bridge here, the last one.
Oh, that's the one on 825 and 650.
Oh, what have you got for us?
If you wanna see a photo of corn stalks, go 5 west.
Just one permit today is all I have for you.
Uh-oh.
It's a permit for 700 South at US 27. They're moving the gas line for our road project there that since NDOT required us to make that intersection there at 27 a little wider, they have to move the gas line back. So it's just a permit to move that back. So since it's ours, we know what happened.
Good.
Move, we take Paul's recommendation on moving the gas line.
Second.
Okay, motion passes.
That's NIPSCO, right?
NIPSCO.
Okay, good.
And that's about all I have for you.
Okay.
The weather's turning and we're getting busy.
Very good. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, guys are out,
We're out
hitting it.
getting after it, so.
Well, I appreciate you sending the plans on the road improvements and chip and seal and pavement, so.
Hopefully that, I mean, we can sit and talk about it anytime that you guys would like, if you have any
Yeah.
questions or anything, but that was just kind of we have it.
We
Yeah,
just need to share it with you guys, so you
I-
guys
I may
kind of
do
had an
that.
idea what was coming, what we were thinking, why we were thinking it. And
yeah.
just information.
Yeah, I think that's, certainly helpful. And one of the things that my challenge is, you know, how do we create a better overall transportation network in Adams County, and what does that look like? And how do we move beyond just maintaining what we have and moving toward something that could be even better than what we have? So just keep thinking about that as you factor in your 2027 and 2028 and 29 and 2030 plans. How does that factor into a better network than we have today?
Well, and after our meeting that we had, the first part last week,
Yeah.
it was when you said, hey, if you just had a blank map, what
Yeah,
would it look
what would it
like?
look like?
And every now and then, you know, when I'm
Sure.
sitting there at the desk in the mornings before we get started, I got a map out there and I got a highlighter. It's like, well, I do this and this, you know,
Sometimes
so I
just,
got a map that's got some colors on it. It's just kind of pipe dreams made.
Yeah.
sometimes just have some time staring out the window and thinking, dreaming of a better, in your case, road infrastructure.
Yeah.
Good.
That all comes at 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
I hear
there you
you.
go.
I hear you.
Hey, one thing, Paul,
Yes, sir.
as Senate Bill 1 shifts out, eventually there'll be some clarification on all of the ifs, ands, and buts.
Right.
And there is one on MDH funds and how it might be used. You might want to review, when it's done, you might want to review if that has any change or impact for you guys.
Yeah, we've been watching it. It's kind of, we're just waiting, like you said, when it's done, we're kind of waiting for the dust to settle and
Right.
see where everything lands, because we've been watching that one pretty close.
Yeah.
We don't
Well,
know, we don't know where it's gonna go.
Hopefully they'll move away from some of the restricted funds and give more unrestricted.
Sounds
No,
like that's the
It'd be
direction we're
nice,
headed.
and we're finding, you know, with visiting with the State Board of Accounts in different ways, we've been finding ways that we can use the restricted to help us out in different ways, that maybe thinking outside the box, something that we've never entertained, but, you know, you ask them questions, they're like, yeah, you can do that. Oh, why wouldn't you do this? And it's been, we're learning. It's evolving, and we're trying to adapt to that to where we can use it to the best, to benefits us the best.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, good. Anything else for Paul?
I don't.
Thanks, Paul.
Gentlemen?
Rick, what have you got for us?
got it, one minute.
Morning, Rick.
Hi, guys. Last Tuesday, the annual sprinkler test was done at the courthouse. It was a full-blown one. I mean, everything was checked on this, but that happens, it happens every year, but every 3 years they do this. So that was good. It was a lengthy one. Permits, our permits are purchased for our elevators for the year.
Yeah.
That's an annual thing.
Okay.
The air handler that was causing a problem a couple weeks back, that's fixed in the exercise room.
Right.
It was a bearing.
Okay.
Is what it was. Had some issues with our bathrooms lately.
In the courthouse or here?
Here, one here by the commissioners. Plugged up, I had it hammered and it's kind of, that one runs like through the food bank and out to the road. We jetted it.
You know what, sometimes we blame those problems on being old buildings, either here at the courthouse. And then when I hear the sheriff come in here and talk about drain problems in a building that was built in 2017.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, sometimes you're just gonna have
It's,
sewer problems.
from what we were seeing, it's, you know, the black galvanized pipe, it starts, it's like rust, just starts coming off and things cling to it. We also have problems with the bathrooms on the first floor men's and second floor. You'd go in there and flush the urinals and stools on the first floor, nothing, no leaks. You know, you want to come, hey, there's water down there. Well, when the second floor got flushed, it was plugged down the IT hallway. So the volume of that coming down, then it wanted to come up through the urinal or the stool flange. So Monday, there was a clean out on the east side. We were able to jet that out.
So it's blood clear down there?
Yeah, it was plugged about right in the middle back place where it was plugged. I had that camera too. So, hopefully
Crazy.
it worked. Yeah, I believe one. I received Tiffany Jackson notified me. She's affiliated with the Health Mom and Baby, whatever that.
Is it WIC or?
Yeah, they want to partner with WIC. Basically, to my understanding is it's a short bus or a van. Once a month, they want to know if they can partner with WIC, park that short bus or van, whatever it is, approximately 2 to 3 hours on that particular day to give out free diapers. I said I would have to ask, and the location where we want to do this, I don't know, maybe that parking lot over there by WIC, if you choose to.
That's what I was wondering too, yeah.
We can't really.
What if you did it on our east parking lot on this side of Third where the, exercise center is?
I mean, as long as maybe that particular day they're coming. we can
Do
designate that.
people ever use that entrance to go down to WIC?
Yeah,
So, yeah, that might work
yeah,
too.
WIC's only open days a week here, and I think they're in Burn. But I told her that I would have to get back. You know, we're kind of limited on our parking, and especially this time of year, taxes.
I don't have any problem with the goodness of the, I suppose you're around here more than we are. But you just kind of pick out the area on a given day that you feel is gonna be less congested and go for it.
I assume they'll have to permit that though, come to this location, or is it
Part of this.
how will they communicate out to the users that service is available?
I didn't ask.
Okay,
But I can.
I don't particularly care,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the location of
Right.
the van will have to be part of that communication. So you probably will have to make that decision prior to the day of.
Yeah, I'll ask her how they're gonna let people know about that.
Right.
Probably.
Tell them they can just bring a few cases of diapers and set them in the food pantry and then just run people down the alley.
I told her Wednesdays would be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're okay with it, I'll try to make.
Yeah, if you can make it work, yeah. Certainly sounds worthwhile.
Plenty of other things going on. This Friday, I will be out, possibly Thursday, but Friday for sure.
Okay.
In case emergency comes up,
Just call me,
or,
just call me.
yeah, we always do.
That's,
Okay.
that's,
You have an appointment with the structural engineer?
No, I've called him, as I kind of said the last time I was in, I've left a couple of messages, but I've not heard anything back, Stan. And I've called Tom and,
Dave?
Dan. I know the last conversation I had with, they had spring break, but I think that was last week. They were short on help, but not heard anything from them.
Tony, had you got that paper up to them?
Yep.
Okay, so they know that it's been approved and they could release the work order. So,
Got 'em up there that very same day that you asked.
okay. Thanks for getting that up there.
Probably is the biggest fish in their pond.
Yeah.
I suppose not. They've been pretty good to us as far as accommodating us,
The
so,
first gentlemen were good.
yeah.
Very
Okay.
good.
Well, keep after him and maybe I'll email Dave Scholl again too.
Just have them call me. They got my number.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks, Rick.
Yep. Thanks, Rick. Mark, what have you got for us?
Morning.
Morning, Mark.
Things slowed up.
Well, as you can see, we were busy last month. 52 permits, which was 6 more than the year before. And a couple of the big projects, well, the biggest one, the ag buildings at 1.7, we had a 1.4 or something for a 4,400 head hog operation.
Okay.
That was the big share of that.
Good deal.
Last 3 days.
Any questions for Mark?
I don't.
Anything else for us, Mark?
Did you wanna,
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna do,
Want to do that,
you wanna make a motion to enter that into the record?
oh, yeah. Let's do
I
that.
move that we accept the monthly report from building and planning office.
I'd second that. My only question, I'm looking down at mobile homes, so we've got 6 mobile homes that have moved in.
yes.
Are they up?
The new mobile home owners out of particular estates.
Oh, okay,
We're
good.
starting to bring some,
They pulled
Yeah.
out 6, brought
Okay.
6 brand new ones in from the local company out here at I forget what they're
Champion.
Is that the
Champion.
Mini Group?
yeah.
Okay.
Are they, have we resolved all of the issues that they have had out there then, or are they kind of back in compliance
Well,
with?
this was Pickle Estates.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We didn't have issues with them.
Okay, I'm sorry, wrong location.
But, well, we have something to, to deal with on the other one.
Now, Pickle, okay, I wanna make sure, Pickle Estates is not Mini Road, right?
No,
Correct.
Okay, where's Pickle Estates?
So just beyond the treatment plant.
Oh, I got it.
Decatur treatment
I
plant.
got it. Okay, yeah, okay.
That was Jerry Putman's place.
Yeah, I got it.
it's always been a nice little place.
Yeah.
It got bought out by local people. It's Beaumont and
Okay.
I think Krukenberg is involved. And they're gonna, anything that doesn't meet their standard, they're gonna bring new in.
Yeah. Cool.
Partial tax refund or something on a tax sale or something.
In fact, I just final.
So,
Was it today?
so on the, this is on River Bend. So
Yeah,
that's the one.
that's a
up
Mini
off-
Road, yeah.
That's correct. And so there is a settlement agreement that's been circulated. This has been going on a long time. There was a mediation, there was a drainage development plan, drainage plan. All that has gone through, Drainage Board approved that. So this is the final, settlement agreement. It's ready to sign, except I know we don't have it on the agenda. I need to get it on the agenda for next week, so you guys can approve it. I don't think this has been sent out to you. Have you reviewed it?
I've not
Okay,
seen
so
it
I'll
out, Dave.
Email it out. I've got it. We just got it
Plan commission.
Yeah.
this week, and so, I'll email it out to you.
Okay.
Will that go through the plan commission?
It already had.
It already has. They've approved it. The commissioners are the last piece. So
And
I'll
DGA.
It actually
let
had to,
Tony,
we were all sued, so it was, BZA had to see it and they signed off. And then Plan commission went through it, they signed off, and I had to sign it.
That was one of those 10 o'clock meetings.
So, and this is the result of the arbitration that we went through.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a result of the mediation and then the discussions
Mediation.
that took place after
Okay.
that. Yes.
And then we also, that was first part of Thursday night, and the second part was because we were accepting everything on both sides, then we did review and approve the development plan. Stormwater.
Can you send the wording that you would like on
I'll,
the agenda?
yep, I'll email that to you here.
So if
Good,
we
get it on.
actually settle this, what are you and Clayton gonna do with all your spare time?
It's been a long time. But now they're, you know, they still have litigation going between them and the other
Seller
company,
buyer,
the
right,
seller.
that.
Mhm.
And thank goodness the BZA and Plan Commission took some appropriate action or there'd have been more.
They made me nervous for a minute.
Yeah, I
So
know.
are there conditions that they need to meet as part of this agreement that you have to watch for?
Yes, so, couple things that is in the agreement, but like, one of them, I'll just tell you, is a state thing, so we agreed to it, but we had to, is we have rules where you can't bring in a trailer any more than 10 years old. That was set a long time ago, and that was for the old ones with tongues on them yet, steel side, steel roof. You know, now they're vinyl sided and stuff, but that rule's still in effect if you were putting it in the middle of the county somewhere on just a building lot. We still have that rule, but you can't enforce that rule inside of a state sanctioned mobile home park.
Really?
Yep, that rule can't be enforced. So that was one of them, but the lady on Thursday night said they were gonna bring all brand new in. So that'd be great.
Does
That's
it
one.
determine how close they can set them to 27?
Well, that was the second part. So we have, that's one thing that we agreed to, and then they've agreed to put up a
Barrier.
barrier, I think the right word, but a barrier along 27. And they will not get any building permits, location permits for anything along 27 until that's up.
Oh.
So they
okay.
could start, and also we have in there that they can start putting in trailers until they've got 20% capacity. Once 20% is hit, they can bring in no more trailers until the stormwater's done. Which they're near that now, because if you take the number that's already in there, the old ones, they can only add, I think, that night we talked about it, I think maybe four or five, and they would be at 20%. So that stormwater is gonna happen. They said it's gonna happen this summer.
How many lots are in that?
They had
100
20 and 20 plus 92, right?
Yeah, I think the full number is around 104,
Okay.
somewhere in there.
Right. And IDEM approved their sewage system for 115, was it?
For the full capacity.
Yeah.
And that was even, I think the full capacity was before they did the stormwater, because stormwater took out
They
some
lost some
lots.
lots there with the,
Right. And when they got the IDEM got their sewage system back up and running, that was, 3 years ago, and all the lots were there, and it was approved for all of those.
Okay.
So they should be good on sewage at this point. They won't be getting any permits along 27 until the guardrail's up, and they won't be able to put any more in 20% until the stormwater's taken care of.
So does IDEM permit their drinking water too?
I think they do both.
Pretty thorough.
Well,
Plan Commission was pretty thorough.
If they do brand new units, the one big thing they always worry about is they had a lot of cop calls, police out there for various not great reasons. But if they're brand new units, it's not gonna be inexpensive to live out there. A lot of those really old trailers were really run down, and that won't be the case anymore. This should be a pretty nice neighborhood.
The neighbor's main concern was trespassing.
Yep.
Which I think we agreed, I think Plan Commission also agreed on some type of a fence.
I don't know if we made it a permanent condition. We asked for it. They said they'd look into
Okay,
it.
all right.
We couldn't
Fence.
make them do one.
Easily cut.
the barrier along 27, what is that to consist of?
That is just that's just a guard,
Okay, so it'd be a guardrail.
guard.
Okay.
Yes. You know, like you see along
Okay.
Yost Woods or
Very good.
Oakwood, that kind of thing.
Very good. Good deal.
And then are we doing?
We'll accept those bids for the,
Yes, Luganville
for the,
excavating.
Yeah, you could just accept the bid of Luganville Excavating as the lowest responsible bid, and it was in fact the only bid, but you can accept that subject to the terms.
no, we haven't done that yet. Remember, we opened the bid.
It was
Yeah.
under.
We took it under advisement last week.
So I move we accept the, Lucan Bill's bid for demolition.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion passes.
15,320.
$15,320.
Yeah.
And I would, and as part of the acceptance, it's, probably goes without saying, but it's subject to the terms of the specifications and the bid itself. Because within that, we said that the bid be executed. The work is not to commence until till Mark Wynn or the zoning administrator tells them to commence the work.
At this
Because
point,
we have,
I need to make sure all the utilities are off. Disconnected.
well, and plus we have a, possible appeal pending, so that's something else.
Yeah.
Very good.
So you already did the asbestos, or was there any abatement or
There was none.
remediation there? So good.
Yeah, we got that done and then we made that part of the bid document so they knew what to do.
That's right.
There shouldn't be any surprises.
Very good. Anything else for Mark?
I don't.
Stan? Okay, thanks, Mark. And Attorney,
I guess I do have a real quick question. Do we still need to do anything as far as paving in front of the building?
Merit Center?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or was the city gonna help us with that, or?
I never had heard that.
Iowa
and-
was.
And then Michelle said that she thought this city was gonna possibly do that, so I don't know.
we asked Brad to go out and take a look at it,
Brad
I
was
think.
gonna take a
But
look
I
at
don't
it.
know, I don't know where it went from
The
there.
last I heard from-
Paul, you might have an update on that.
Yeah, Brad went and looked at it and, obviously it's gonna need some asphalt or leveling off. The last I knew is she was gonna talk to Jeremy Gilbert about paving that since that's a.
And she did, but they don't have it in
I
their
don't know-
budget.
I don't know that, if Brad heard an answer back from Jeremy, I don't know where that's at.
I did.
You did?
Michelle said she talked to Jeremy and it's not in their budget to do. So something else will have to be worked out. I don't know what the conversation was with Brad about helping, but that's the last I heard from Michelle. When she talked to Jeremy, he did not have it in his budget.
Oh, what would you suggest that we could do there, just so they can use use all of the bays?
I mean, what we could offer is just leveling putting more stone in, cause some of it is very thin stone that look like, and it's very uneven. It would be graded and stone. I mean, obviously the best thing would be is the asphalt, up to the edges, but.
Well, would it be possible for the highway department to build out until they budget in for next year to pavement?
We could go in and level that.
What did you do down at the 4-H grounds on that parking lot? How did you do that?
4-H paid for all materials.
But I mean, physically, what did you actually?
Just
go in
chip
and-
and seal that, is that what you did down there?
Chip and seal, we didn't do any grading or anything with that, we just sprayed one layer of chip and seal.
Okay.
Which normally we recommend 2 layers because 1 layer is pretty thin with traffic. Would that get them by up there? Because if they go to pave it at some point in time, they'll have to be dug out to give them room for the base and what have you.
I think I can answer most of this. So she was gonna try and get to the city and apparently it wasn't in the budget for this year. And I was still gonna get a quote from a couple different people to see what it even takes, so we even know what we're talking about. Luganville we've had a little fun time getting sewer figured out, but that got figured out as far as where it finally is. So we know where to hook up. Luganville was gonna go there today, hook it up and bring stone in enough that they can get up on and drive it.
Okay.
However, his wife went into the hospital for a procedure today, this morning, so that didn't happen. But it's gonna happen very, tomorrow, Thursday, I'm guessing, soon, unless something's worse off than I think.
So at least then we can use those bays.
I was hoping that actually this afternoon I was gonna get a final inspection and and be done, and he would have stone up and they'd be using it tomorrow. That was my goal. So I expect that happening this week.
So we got water, gas, electric, sewer.
Waters, everything's hooked up except the sewer. That's the
Oh,
only
the
thing.
sewer's still not.
That's what we had to time them to finally tell me where it was at. We were out there once a month ago digging, and they're like, well, we think it's here, and it wasn't there. We think it's here. So it was dumb. And so we pulled out, they finally cambered it, and they said, we think it's here. They put a mark on the street, and they said, we're not sure how far it goes this way. So I don't even know if it's under the sidewalk or up in the yard. They think it's up in the yard, but they still didn't give us a 100% guess. They just said it's not, they know it's in line with the green mark they put, and we're gonna hopefully find it when he gets there. It's been crazy, because this should have been done a long time ago.
You
That's
need
the
to
that's the
call
last
a
part.
drain surgeon.
That's something. But that is the last piece. I actually was there yesterday and screwed up the installed. Sounds like I screwed something up.
Yeah, that.
I installed the handicap rails in the bathroom and got that taken care of yesterday.
Okay.
Other than sewer, we are ready to
Good
roll.
sewer and some approach
Yeah,
work.
so we'll get it approached. We'll get the stone up. He's gonna do that so they can get in. And then I was gonna get some bids for the asphalt,
For
just to
asphalt.
see where it even is.
Okay.
Maybe it's a number
Good.
that's palatable that.
Right. Let's see what it
If
is.
we could maybe figure it out ourselves and just make it happen, or they can at least know what to budget for if they're gonna do it for
Right.
us.
Well, whose budget is it gonna end up, I mean, when they finish the job properly, is it gonna be under city budget or under Michelle's budget? Whose budget is it gonna be under?
Well, it's on our property, so it'd be
we-
under
Yeah,
our
under
budget.
We
Your
built
budget.
the building.
So, but would that be Michelle's budget?
We remember, we built the building and she's leasing it from us, so.
That's
so
ours.
That's ours, okay.
It's
After it's
ours.
done, you mean?
Well, we need to be able to do that this,
I mean, we have a
Figure
fund set
something.
up for transportation garage.
okay?
Let's,
Don't know if there'll be enough for that because that
yeah,
wasn't
let's
anticipated.
let's see where the final numbers fall.
Okay,
I'll get some numbers.
thanks, Mark.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Okay. Mark and Clayton.
Well, I'll give Tony the language, put this on the agenda for next week, this settlement agreement. Yep. So get that on the agenda. So the email that Tony sent regarding Senate Bill 1, apparently passed. Is that
Yeah,
done?
I think it's done,
I
signed.
I've been sending you,
Now-
council,
now-
commissioner.
Now we gotta figure out what we've done, signed.
Now you gotta find out.
Now you gotta
Now
read
you
the-
read it and
You
find
gotta
out
read
what's
the
in
three
there.
hundred and 55 pages of it.
But there is apparently a provision in there that puts a 1-year freeze after a bond expires. That's significant.
We were discussing this morning a little bit of that, Mark, and maybe you can enlighten us or. My question is, since we actually the bond wasn't Adams County's bond, it was Adams Memorial Hospital's bond. Would that bond freeze or moratorium apply to Adams Memorial Hospital and not to Adams County government? We made the payments, but I don't think the bond was actually in our name.
I'll have to check, but I think it is.
Oh, you think it is our
Yeah.
bond?
Because I think it simply had a property tax backup. It was not a bond that is paid by property tax. But at the time it was bonded, because it takes a municipal governmental entity to have the
Okay, so
ability.
you don't think it was the hospital
I don't
bond, the
believe
bond?
so.
that
I
created
think
the
it
bond?
was-
They had to go
I
through the
think it was
county.
the
to get it.
county bonded for the hospital project. The actual real estate is owned by the hospital association or building authority. So there's a separate building.
I thought maybe we just pledged our taxing authority to support the bond.
Yes,
To just do a little research on, before we assume that that's
yes,
the
I
case.
will.
Let's
The way,
do some research on that.
yeah, the way that's set up, it's similar to like it is with the
Jail.
jail. So in order to bond, you actually form a separate holding corporation. And so in this case, it was a hospital building authority, and you appointed 5 members to that actual board. It's an incorporated, not-for-profit association. And then the real estate that was actually deeded to that associate, they hold the real estate. And then the bond was bonded by the county for that project. The seeded tax that was passed was pledged as revenues for debt service on the bond. Hospital revenues were also part of the debt service on the bond. But in order to get the best interest rate and in order to get the best bond rating, the county also provided a property tax backup for the bond. It wasn't a direct, and the property tax backup was in place so that in the event seeded tax and hospital revenues were insufficient in any year to make debt service, then property tax would pay it. Now, back at the time when that was done, that did not trigger any sort of referendum, but it's in the documents that it is a property tax backup in the event, to guarantee the debt service. And so for that reason, I think this would apply. Don't know,
I know.
100%.
It's all brand new legislation, so
It's
we'll figure it out.
new. So what I would do is, and that's a good point, because I don't know. There's no county property tax that is directly involved in that bond. And I think this legislation is aimed at property tax, real estate property tax. So I've got to dig deeper and find out, more. Would this apply or not? And I don't know. Because, just reading it here from what it's saying.
And I haven't read the legislation. I just read the quick recap that Tony sent out this morning, so.
Yeah,
So
because
if it did apply, we would not be able to access that levy for a year. Is that correct? Is that the way the legislation?
you wouldn't be allowed to bond again. From what I'm reading, you wouldn't be able to do another bond for a period of 1 year after those, the first bond was paid off. But there again, as soon as the first bond is paid off, then the revenues are gonna be distributed to the cities and towns according to their ownership interest. And again, I thought it's a good question, Steve. This is different because, when you have a property tax that is enacted and specifically pledged
Yeah,
for,
and you have debt service.
debt
that's
service.
Being serviced by that property tax.
and then that debt
obligation.
service goes away, the tax goes away.
Right.
This is different because this is actual income tax.
Yeah.
That was pledged, and the income tax is not gonna go away
Right.
unless the county income tax council repeals it. So I'm not sure that this would even apply, but it's interesting.
They're actually changing the local income tax councils to where municipalities of 3,500 or more can create their own lit, and the county would have its own lit. So that throws they're eliminating,
Combined.
whereas our county council is now 55%,
Double taxation.
that's going to change potentially. Well, it will change. They're eliminating it.
Is that in here too?
That isn't, I don't know if it's in there, but it is in something else that I sent. It was the first thing I sent you guys. But yes, there's a complete new lit restructuring scheduled July 1 of 27, I think. So, the question there, we don't know yet because it's too soon. But if Decatur and Bern are big enough to do their own lit, what I mentioned to these guys today, if Stan lives in Decatur, I live in Bern, and they do the lit for those municipalities up to 1.2%. Are Stan and I going to pay the county and the Decatur and the Bern? Or what's that going to look like?
I think so.
Because I don't think Geneva and Monroe are big enough, or at least not enough population, so county will still be. So, yeah, that's all in that bill too, that we need to, look at. As a matter of fact, I talked to Travis Holman, and he's willing to sit down sometime with a
Well,
group and
it
discuss
makes me
it.
wonder if that were to happen, let's say if Decatur decided to institute their own lit, whether they would drop off of the Adams County Tax Council as far as a beneficiary of our lit.
Well, there'd have to be a process where the county income tax council, as it's as it exists now, or it'd have to be in the legislation, but would repeal it and take it
Yeah.
away.
It's gonna be restructured and that, well, I know what state board would say now if I ask that question. They're gonna say consult your county attorney, so.
Yeah, well, I don't know yet.
So,
But otherwise you'd end up with double tax.
yeah, so something's gotta be done there and, but that's all in that legislation.
Mark, speaking of CETA, do we still do the 2-year CETA plan, and when was that last done?
Yes,
Our
that was
two-
done last
our
year,
2
wasn't it?
years are up, yeah.
yeah, I think it was last year, but
Okay, so we need to.
We
put that
created
in.
a PSAP last year, which was 0.02 of the public safety lit. PSAP goes directly to the sheriff's department for 911. It doesn't get dispersed to the cities and towns. Public safety lit does, but the PSAP we collect, which I think when we get that in, I think it's around 36,000 something. I don't know how often that is, but anyway, that goes directly to the sheriff's department, it does not get dispersed.
Right.
So I'm thinking that, I thought that was last year.
yeah, check and see, because it would be, we do that every year, so.
That-
or every
that's-
2 years.
That's something
Well,
else that's gonna,
I don't think we did it last year. I think.
If
it's
we didn't do
the
it
year
last year, then
before.
it'd be
So
up
we're,
now.
that's needs to
so it
be-
might be time to do that. And the other thing that council's also, council's gonna have to think about, as well as you all, we know how much Adams County is going to lose over the next 3 years with the Senate bill. We got that information. And what the state, and one of the senators, Republican senators that voted against it, even was quoted as saying, what the state's doing is making us the bad guys. They're lowering the property tax and telling us to raise our income taxes, and they're allowing us to go higher than it normally would be to offset the loss of property tax. So we've got to discuss as a county, how, what are we gonna do? I think they're planning to do away on the lit with the property tax relief. I think they're going to eliminate that in 28 altogether. So those are discussions that'll
Yeah, it
definitely have
sounds
to be
like-
held.
Sounds like council's gonna have their work cut out for them
Yeah.
to figure out how to balance all that back out.
They may have to restructure a lit every year.
Yeah, they've been playing that game now for years. That's the game that the state legislature plays.
Yeah.
Is to show that, we've cut property taxes, but indirectly they've forced, local governments to increase income tax. It's
Or
just a
pet
shift.
services and
Yeah.
people.
It's just a shift.
Well, that's what makes me mad when they are not the beneficiary of property taxes. They're the beneficiary of sales tax, income tax. And so they're picking our pocket to make themselves look good.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like I said, one of their own senators, that voted against that said that. Said, this is all we're doing. So I guess that doesn't really matter in the scheme of things. We've gotta figure it all out and do the best we can do to keep going, I guess. The way we know it today, anyway.
I'll look here and see,
I'll send the other stuff I have over to you, Mark.
yeah, look at the last, seated spending plan that we adopted.
I will.
I know I've got it. I've just gotta figure
got
out
it
where I
too.
put it.
Just gotta look it up.
I have it.
Now that Stan mentioned that, I think it was 2 years ago,
Okay.
Yeah.
because we waited a year for PSAP to populate to be enough money for them to use.
Yeah, I've got the last.
Is there a time frame that has to be done in?
It's just sometime during the year, in the
This
second year.
Okay.
I'll find that here too.
Clayton, do you have a lease you want us to consider today?
I do.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have all had a chance to review
I did.
the one I sent to you all via email.
My only question was the insurance on the property, whether we needed to pay that or whether we could structure the lease such that the lessee was responsible for maintaining insurance on the property and paying that bill. I guess my thought was, since we're basically leasing it to them for free, that we would have no expenses associated with that building. But if we're gonna cover the expense, the insurance on the property, then we would have expenses with that building.
Yeah, the only expense you really can't get out of though is, I guess, so 5.1, I talk about maintenance. And so I do have to put in there that lesser shall keep in good order condition the foundation, roof, these structural portions of the premises. Just Indiana landlord tenant law in general doesn't allow you to place that responsibility upon the lessee.
Right.
But I did go further into that, the lessee it can be a duty placed upon the lessee to keep in, good order condition, repair, the heating, air conditioning, electrical, plumbing within. And I did that there. I don't see any reason, this is more just kind of the standard language that a lessor normally would maintain it. And I would assume Michelle would be okay with it, we can place that duty on her.
We
that
just have
she
to
will
structure
maintain.
within the lease what the requirements are that they maintain what the coverage is.
Yeah, and I think, really it would just be changing property insurance 6.1 rather than lessor shall purchase, it just will be changed to lessee shall purchase.
That was just when I read through it, that was the only thing that stuck out to me was that we were still gonna pay the insurance on the building, and I thought we could have them do that.
Well, she's probably got insurance on all the vehicles.
Yeah, I think she was responsible for maintaining all the insurance on all the fixtures and everything inside the building. It's just the
And
envelope itself.
liability insurance.
And liability.
Just, now Decatur actually owns the property it sits on, is that correct?
No.
No,
we
No,
counted
we own-
it.
we own the
We ended
property.
up buying the building or buying the property. We negotiated.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
there was a transfer of the property.
okay, I wasn't clear on that.
Well, how do we do that, like say for the jail? Does that come out of the sheriff's budget, the insurance for that, or does that come out of our,
That's county,
so?
that's county, that's under our general.
So why
But,
would,
but still, that's a county entity.
why
That's,
Right.
why would this building just fall under the county insurance the same as everything else?
I mean, it can, but it, again, we're talking about supporting a nonprofit here. We're not talking about supporting another branch of county government. So the nonprofit entity that we're supporting here with a very favorable lease rate, I don't think we have that same obligation to them that we would have to cover the other county buildings.
I think as owners of the building though, I almost kind of feel like it might be our responsibility to.
I've written many leases where the lessee had to cover the building. It's
Yeah, it's like a
doable.
triple net lease.
Yeah, it's just triple net lease was what was in my head. We were working toward.
And what
Well,
you
how
do
do you have it
is,
stated now? Right.
The insurance right now, I had that the lessor being the county would.
County would cover it.
Would at least purchase a policy of fire and extended coverage. To have full insurable value covering the premises, including the building and improvements thereon.
It's not gonna be a huge amount.
no, it won't, and it's something that it's, and they might get a better, who knows, I mean, they could get a decent rate on that, but
Probably would be cheaper for us to do it than for them.
An alternative
It might
might be in order to maybe the county not feel like it's bearing any of the cost is to identify what insurance premiums would be and to at least heighten the rent amount from the Sweetheart deal of $1 to, the nominal value of what it's going to cost to have that insurance in place.
I mean, it's not a big deal to me. I just. didn't-
Well, my
that was-
question
that
would
was
be,
what I
Steve,
saw.
down the pike somewhere, when we're not here,
Mhm.
Peyton's not there, something happens out there, what's gonna be the simplest way to figure this out? For coverage? Is it going to, Michelle might not be there. It might disappear in leadership there. My question is, 15 years from now, something happens, what's the simplest way to identify who's responsible?
Well, I hope I'm still there in 15 years.
Well, Peyton, yeah, you'll still be here. You're still a kid 15 years from now.
Well, you would go to the lease and the terms of the lease
Yeah.
would
And
prevail.
I don't know if it applies or not, but like say with my rentals, I mean, I've got property and liability insurance on the rentals, but I also ask the tenants to have a renter's policy.
that's for contents.
Is that something that would apply to this or not?
Well, it sounds, I think it's already set up that way. They're responsible for the vans and any contents and we can have in the lease itself that you know, they're responsible for any contents.
Well,
It's just a different animal when you're entering a commercial lease.
Yeah.
It's just, that's really what we're doing, is
The
we're
last
leasing commercial
sentence-
property here to a
The
commercial
last
tenant.
sentence for 6.1 of property insurance, I noted that lessee shall be responsible for any loss and or insurance of lessee's personal property and shall hold harmless lessor therefrom. And then also 6.3,
Tenants type.
6.3 goes into liability insurance and that, you know, per as the lessee,
I mean, like, say if one of their trucks catches fire and damages the
That lease
building,
is what you do.
does our insurance have to pay for the building?
you would, from an insurance standpoint, maybe, but really it would be first. If it stemmed from something of her personal property, our insurance wouldn't be the primary insurer. It would go first to the personal property insurance for the vehicle. And then, you know, limits are expended there, then maybe tap into ours.
I think bottom line, we wanna accept what he has written, or do we wanna change something?
I'm fine with it. If you guys are,
I move we
if
accept
you guys
it.
are, if you guys are
Lisa
good,
has
I'm not gonna fight it. It's
Yeah,
just-
I accept it.
Yep.
I move we do, Stan.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Motion passes.
We take.
We'll just need to make sure we get that added to our scheduled properties so we get it covered.
We'll have to, I'll let Doug Nelson know. He
I'll
can.
just grab it after the meeting.
Okay.
I just had to set
Yeah,
up
we
just
gotta redo
to sign
So you're looking
this
for
year
two.
and then.
Twenty
You
twenty-three,
want
but then here's
you
one
just
for
want to read
24.
the first line on the
Well,
front
like
page.
the revised.
I'm not sure what they do that.
Just a revised.
Yeah, then it would, if it's, we cover a spending plan for 24 and 25, then we don't have to do it till 26.
Technically, the county owns it.
If that was,
Too involved.
Did you find something on CD?
That's right.
Yeah, question. But yeah, we need to, if that one was signed,
Can I see it?
yeah. So that's,
Yeah.
but
This is a
the
tax
other thing
refund.
is,
Apparently the assessment
you
was
can,
incorrect.
you can change
It's
those
just a tax
plans.
refund, $1,000
anytime.
to the taxpayer. That's actually, it's
You know, you could look
They're
at
gonna get
what,
credit on
what
the
was
next year's
signed
tax
and
bill.
approved
It's
for
not gonna be a
25 and
refund.
say, we wanna change it.
Okay.
And then you could do a new one that covers 25 and 26.
So I don't know if that's a signed copy or not.
Ordinance 2023. I'll look in the
You
order.
have to look and see if that's what was signed, because we did a spending plan for 24 and 25. But, which means you wouldn't have to take it up again until 26,
I've got a 26, 27 plan.
but you can, in any
We can amend
given year, you can amend it.
And there are certain things that we do, and there are certain things that council can do involving lit.
What else have you guys got for us today?
We got some other things that'll be coming up and we want to address, obviously, again, when seems like we're dry again.
Okay.
The whirling property and
No,
we've got other stuff going on, so
we're gonna.
I think that's it for now.
Pay more for now.
Yes, that's done. I think it's gonna have to be a change to the salary ordinance, so it's gonna have to go to council.
Is this the theater plan? That needs redone?
Well,
That doesn't necessarily need redone. We've got a 2025 plan we're operating under. This is it.
Okay, but with the, when we do a new one, does the figure stay the same?
Does please cover
Or do we
meters,
consider,
earthquakes,
we
things
consider,
like that, meteor showers.
well, like Mark says, we can change it anytime if we want to.
oh, we
I
can,
doubt
okay.
Fire and then
Well, and every time, you know, that you do a plan, that one there was 24, 25, but that was based upon the projections of anticipated revenues for 24 and 25. You know, here in 25, you may have a better idea of exactly what you're gonna get, and maybe it's more,
Number probably went up.
and maybe you amend the plan and do a plan for 25, 26.
Yeah,
So that's possible.
well, cause even from the one
You know,
from
when we were doing.
23 to this one, you know, there's an additional $300,000 projected.
Early.
Yep.
2021, 02, 03. We were doing 15 miles of road gravel.
Did I give you a copy of that,
Almost
Mark?
all
Or
this
do you want
money was
a copy of that?
roads.
I'll be looking here. Tony probably has the one that's signed, so
Okay, otherwise I'll make another copy and
I'll look here at our, ordinances too. Those are resolutions.
That's totally, Is this still just to the commissioner's decisions, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that an ordinance or a resolution?
Says ordinance.
Says ordinance, okay.
I'm looking through our ordinances to see.
We still have to bring it to council though. I think we, it's more of just to present.
Stamped. I think we need to look at it, study it.
When I do find it, I'll get it to you.
Good deal. Anything else, Mark Clayton, before we move on?
No, I think that's it.
Shannon, what have you got for us today?
I don't have anything today, but thank you.
All right.
You know, you're slacking, Shannon.
I am. I haven't done something in a while.
Yeah.
It's almost lunchtime.
Because, that's because she's totally organized, and not bring stuff up.
I know, I will make something up, I'll do.
Okay,
I have the one that's signed, it's 2023-27.
Yeah, I was just getting to it too. 2023.
Anything else from you guys for the good of the cause?
There's something. It's right here. Nothing much from the legislative committee. See, I did sit in on the mental health survey at Parkview last
Okay,
week.
good.
Nothing much there. We got Maumee River Basin, or no, not
Really
this
not,
one.
yeah, not till next month
oh, the only thing I'd have,
in May.
we are, Tony, we're gonna have that department meeting on the 29th at 8 o'clock. Right. And when the agenda's complete, why don't you just email all three of us to copy the agenda?
Yep.
And I will be conducting that one. And then we have two more that I think Steve's gonna do one, Stan's gonna do one.
Oh, also, as far as meetings coming up, I did schedule a meeting for the IT committee, and that's on May 16th at 8:30. And I kind of based it around looking for the best attendance from the committee members themselves.
Okay.
And so as part of that committee, Mark have been on that committee. We've got Fred and or John Summers on that committee, myself and Shannon and Mike Brown, of course, and Rick Burkhalter.
Very, very pleased that you're on that committee, Stan.
So-
That's fine. Stay on that
Well,
committee.
that's what my kids always ask me. It's like, how in the heck did you end up on an IT?
I think we pretty well got the agenda set for that
Stay
part of the
there.
meeting. We'll get it out to you guys.
So anyway,
Also,
I've tried to set a rough agenda for that meeting and set some, preliminary information that I felt was relevant and so we're gonna plan on it being a two-hour meeting.
Yeah, I found
See
it.
if we can
Buck on
keep
that.
ourselves on track. So-
Good deal.
I emailed you guys that ordinance for see it. Should have it.
Doug, anything from you?
No.
Anything from the public? Hearing nothing. Yes, I entertain a motion to adjourn, guys.
Stan?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, we're adjourned.